Hmm. My handy dandy hairbrush. Hairbrush. Yes. Hey there, YouTube. Hi. Hey, what up? Today is Wednesday. I'm here at the club and I'm realizing just now, I'm pretty sure I think this is just about the same time that I started my video yesterday, possibly the day before. This is my 4th shift in a row. So it might have been the day before that I'm thinking of, but I'm pretty sure that it was yesterday. Well, let's just say either yesterday or the day before. Possibly even Sunday, but anyway, one of those days, quite recently this week, this past week, anyway, the first half of this week, let's say, right? Yeah, I remember I was saying I started that video 2 minutes until 3, and it's right now it is also, or not 2 minutes, sorry. I'm very tired right now. Surprise. 10 minutes until 3, and it is currently 10 minutes until 3. So I have just over an hour to do this video before I have to go sign in at the club here. I got here, just pulled in, just parked. Got a pretty good parking spot today. Not my favorite, but close to it. So I do apologize. Yeah, my video yesterday was again cut short. That does seem to happen. I hate to say it. I hate to, have it happen, but it does seem to happen. I don't want to say frequently, but it's feeling like that at this point. So far, the main issues that I seem to be having with my YouTube seems to be a lot of my videos either don't have audio or they're being cut short. Granted, yes, most of them are on the longer side. So, but if I had to choose one or the other, I would rather them be cut short than just for the entire thing to have no audio. So, at least with the one yesterday, I did check the timestamps. I've been really trying to make a point to do that lately, especially. The one yesterday, I don't think very much of that one was cut out. I think it was just the last, from my calculations. Granted, yes, I am very bad at math, but I'm pretty sure it was about 13 minutes. So the very last 13 minutes, which compared to previous videos from before, usually the ones from before, a lot more time had been cut off of the end of them. So I've been thinking lately, a lot of times in my videos, what I've been trying to do for a while is, like, I usually go on notes that I have that I write down, like, usually the day or the night before, about what I think I'm going to want to try to talk about in my next video. And the different notes that I have, some topics or some subjects, some things might be on the lighter, kind of happier side that make me laugh, and other stuff might be more serious that, kind of bums me out and brings me down, but I still want to maybe try to talk about it and mention it just to, I don't know, try to like talk it out, or just like not feel as alone in that stuff, like share stuff with people. I guess, that kind of thing. But what I've been doing for the most part lately is I've been saying the kind of crappier, like gloomier stuff first, and then saving my happier preferred subjects that get me laughing and in a good mood for later to try to cheer myself up after I've already talked about the crappier stuff. But now that I'm thinking about this more, um, anytime that I say stuff out loud, a lot of times it will seem to jinx things and make stuff worse. So, but that's just part of like finding the courage and taking the risk to try to talk about stuff, I guess. You just take that chance, and I don't know. But so far, I have yet to see the first half of my videos cut out. Every time that I've seen this happen where the full thing does not post, it's always the latter half, towards the end of the video, that gets cut off. So, you know, that's also kind of crappy in just the sense that, yes, I've been saving usually my happier subjects or topics towards the end of the video. So when my videos get cut short like that, a lot of times it's the better stuff, the stuff that I like the most, that ends up getting cut out. So I'm thinking lately I might just, because of that, I might just want to try to make a point as best I can to kind of switch that around a bit and say my, I don't know, my happier stuff first, rather than later on. Which, again, that doesn't really go with how I want to do it, unfortunately, but I guess that would make sense just in this, you know, just with what's been going on. So, and I have not had a chance to watch my video from yesterday back yet. I really wanted to try to do that. I thought that I might have had some time to do that later on last night, you know, towards the later hours for my shift last night here at the club. But a lot of times that will end up happening. Usually if there's a lot of other dancers to be going on stage, that makes it easier for me to find the time to kind of just find a quieter area as best I can and watch my videos. But last night was actually not like that. Which a lot of times on Tuesdays there will be a lot of dancers, but last night I wouldn't say that there were not a lot of dancers, but I wouldn't say that there were a lot of dancers either. It was kind of in the middle, but so yeah, the start of the shift was off to a very, very slow start. And I was kind of getting the feeling that most of the shift was going to be like that, especially since lately the past few weeks, I've found that it's actually been a lot towards the end of the night and the end of my shifts that have gotten really slow. Whereas last night wasn't really like that. Last night it was off to a slow start, but at some point, I don't know, I'd say maybe around 10 or 11 possibly. I'm not too sure exactly, but it did pick up at some point, and once it did, I just felt very busy, like I just wasn't really able to find a time to sit down and watch my video back. I did watch the start of it to try to get a thumbnail, which I was able to do, and I was thrilled about that. And I also fast forwarded all the way to the very end just to try to get a feel for where it had cut off. And based on what I saw where it got cut off, I was like, okay, I think that was just the last 13 minutes or so. And I remember what I was talking about. So I want to think that not too much of topics and subjects for that video were, you know, cut out. I'm pretty sure that towards the end of that video, I want to think I was pretty much just talking about one thing at that point, and I'm pretty sure it was this guy that used to work here at the club. He used to be a DJ here, and I had talked about him, you know, a bit at various points previously in that video, but then I got back to talking about him again towards the end of that video. And once I got back to talking about him, I just kept on talking about him, I'm pretty sure until the end of that video. So when I realized that I'm pretty sure it's just, you know, the subject of him that was cut out towards the end, I was like, all right, well, at least that will give me hopefully like a good segue, like subject to start my next video with. So, but before I get into that, it's kind of funny to me in a sense because I've noticed I've gotten multiple comments from people here on my channel where they've suggested to me that I do shorter videos. I guess partly because people these days especially just seem to have a very short attention span, especially with stuff like on the internet, like, you know, it's just kind of like moving on from one thing to the next, like this, that, you know. I appreciate the suggestions. I appreciate the comments when they seem to be like coming from a positive place, like just trying to be helpful. You know, I've commented back a few times like, yeah, I'll probably try to work on that, you know, maybe just condensing down what I say into less words. Just more of an overview without rambling as much about stuff. I don't know, but realistically, I love to talk, at least here on my channel, and a lot of other times too, but I love to just, it's just my nature to ramble. You know, that's just what comes naturally to me, especially like talking here in these videos like this. And, you know, I'm pretty sure realistically, the only way for my videos to be shorter or to get to be on the shorter side is just how it's been lately, where they're forcibly being cut short by some other source. So it's not, if they are going to be on the shorter side, it's not going to be because of me, probably. It's going to be like, if that's what people want, I guess that's what they're going to get, because, but not because of me, just because of either YouTube or possibly someone or something else that's just cutting them short. I don't know if it's a glitch or something weird going on. I really have no idea. I have tried reaching out to YouTube. Like I've tried going onto the help and support, like feedback section. I've sent them emails. I've tried doing like the text message option with that, but so far that's never helped at all. So other than that, I really like YouTube, but if they had like a comment, like a suggestion box for stuff like that, I would really wish that they would, you know, improve upon their help and feedback section for people that try to stream, and especially people like me that try to do long streams and stuff like that. But anyway, oh yeah, and I try not to think about this too much or like worry about this too much or dwell on it, but based on circumstances and, you know, just the way things are nowadays, inflation, the economy, my own personal struggles mixed into all of that stuff, I do worry about financial stuff. And, you know, I do have a roof over my head besides just my car right now. I do have an apartment that I've been in for a while, but more and more lately, and as time goes on, I keep trying to reduce my living expenses there, like just as much as I can. And it's getting to the point where, you know, like this is my 4th winter without the heat on. I was using the stove for a while, but now looking at my electric bills, like they're still too high for me. So now I'm trying to like cut out using the stove as well. Honestly, even using just the microwave. So my only form of cooking lately, or like cooking, like basically being able to get like a warm meal kind of thing, would be, lately it's been just using the microwave. But lately, even just using the microwave has been like, because I'm checking my electric meter outside the building, and even that seems to be too much for me. I do sleep with a light on, just one lamp, and it is an LED light bulb. It's kind of weird like that, because as an adult, I need to sleep with the light on. I honestly don't recall. I really don't remember if I was like that as a child. If I was ever one of those kids that was scared of the dark and needed to have like a nightlight or something like that. I honestly don't remember. I do, however, I remember that I did prefer to have my door open, my bedroom door when I was a kid. I think sometimes when I was like going to bed at night, my parents would try to shut the door and I would never want them to shut the door. I'd be like, no, leave the door open. I just didn't like that feeling of being like shut in this like dark little space like that, you know, like I am pretty claustrophobic and just, but definitely as I've gotten older as an adult, I cannot sleep in the dark. I need to have a light on. Just too much stress, too much like bad intrusive thoughts and feelings most of the time, if not always. So anyway, yeah. So like that now I'm like, well, should I like use my laptop less? Should I shut that light off? I don't think I can shut that light off, but basically my point is I'm just trying to like cut my electricity usage and expenses there as much as I can to where it's getting to the point where it's like, you know, it, just it's kind of crappy. And honestly, like I'm proud of myself. Like I was saying earlier, today is my 4th shift in a row here at the club. Lately, for quite a few months now, I've pretty much this entire winter, and I think even before winter started, I've been trying to do, I don't always end up being able to do this, obviously, but we do make our own hours here at this club that I work at. So for a while now, I've been trying to do 4 10-hour shifts in a row back to back, and I've been doing pretty good with that lately. So this week I think I'm doing that. This is going to be my 4th shift. Last week I did that. I think probably the week before, maybe like a month or so. Usually around my period is when I'm like falling apart with that and not able to do it anymore, and that messes everything up. When it comes to that and like everything else, like that just messes everything up for me. It always has. But yeah, I've been doing pretty good lately. I am gonna be PMSing, like I can already feel it in the girls, honestly, but so that's no good. But anyway, other than that, lately I've been doing pretty good. But a big part, so I am proud of myself for that, but honestly, yeah, a big part of me really wanting to come into work more and more as much as I can is just to try to limit my expenses and electricity usage back at my apartment. You know, when I'm here at the club, I never really used to think of this when I first started working here, but more and more now, anytime I'm here at the club, I'm like, oh my gosh, like the heat is on in here and I can like charge my phone without worrying about the electricity, and people just leave the lights on all the time. Like there's a private dressing room that is usually locked, and sometimes when I want to go in there, I'll have to ask one of the managers to unlock it for me. And they're usually pretty good about that and they'll do it. But most of the time when I go in there, almost every single time when it's been locked and they've unlocked it and I've gone in there, the light will be on. So it's like the light was just left on in there while nobody was in there using that space, while the door was locked for who knows how long, with that light just being on for no reason. So, you know, it's kind of weird like that. So they just don't seem to worry about expenses like that, it seems. For me personally, like when I'm in that dressing room and when I'm, you know, I'll do whatever I do. Sometimes I'll do videos in there, but then when I'm done using it, I will make a point to shut the light off, you know? So, but anyways, it's just nice. I will try to do that, but in the general sense, I'm not worrying about my electricity usage here at the club. Nowhere near like I would be back at my apartment. Usually they're pretty good about having the heat on here, but if it varies a lot. So if it is really cold in a lot of different areas of the club, like usually the kitchen and the upstairs dressing room where my locker is will be areas that get really, really cold a lot of times. So in the kitchen, if it's that cold, I will just plug the oven in and put the oven on to use as like a space heater. And, you know, so, but it's like, it's nice to be able to do that and to not have to worry about the electricity usage and like the cost of all that. And it's like, you know, I'm especially going to try not to worry about it and beat myself up about it if the club doesn't seem to care that much, because if they did, why would they just leave the lights on when nobody's like in a room and the room is locked? You know what I mean? But Also, on that point, lately the upstairs dressing room really has been extremely cold, and it does make me wonder why. Because again, the cost of having the heat on, like the cost of stuff here doesn't really seem to be that much of an issue or a concern for the management here. Um, and like for example, in the summertime, it'll also be freezing up in that dressing room, which to me, so the summers here do get still pretty hot. Even though winter is super cold, the summers here get very, very hot, like 90 plus degrees, July and August, sometimes June as well. But in the summertime, that dressing room will be freezing to where you can tell they're obviously running the AC up there, like they're cranking the AC. So if they don't care about the expense of using the AC that much in the summer, why would it be so much of an issue for them to have the heat on in there in the winter? So it's almost like one of those things where it's like, are they doing this on purpose to torture us? I really don't want to think that way, but a lot of times it's to the point where I am like really just like, I don't understand why it's so cold in there. But so yeah, like last night when I came into the club, I had a headache. And I did have that headache for a lot of the first half of that shift yesterday and last night. It did go away eventually towards the end of the night, thank gosh. But so I was trying to tell myself to drink water, to try to like, I don't know, hydrate myself, I guess. And I had this big bottle of seltzer water, like a liter of seltzer water, which for anyone that doesn't already know off the top of their heads, a liter of water weighs approximately 2 pounds. So the bag that I bring around with me everywhere is already extremely heavy. So to add a liter of water to the bag, it makes it 2 pounds heavier. So it's really, really heavy. So, and I actually didn't even get around to drinking that seltzer water at all at any point throughout that shift yesterday. Just because I felt like I was so busy and just distracted by other things. It's actually back at my apartment right now in the fridge, which is shut off. Yeah, my fridge has been shut off for quite a while because it's too expensive for me to have it on. So, but honestly, because I have the heat off in my apartment as well during the winter, and well, obviously the summer too, but my entire apartment basically feels like a refrigerator. So, I mean, I mostly just try to get non-perishable stuff. But anyways, regardless, but yeah. Um, so, but because I was intending to drink that water last night for my headache, I didn't want to leave it upstairs in the dressing room because I knew that's why I was carrying it around with me, because I knew that if I left it in the dressing room upstairs, if I did get around to drinking it, it would have been like drinking ice water, which I didn't want to do. So yeah, I had it in my bag, lugging it around with me all night. And I'm also carrying around my own separate bottle of rubbing alcohol for the pole, because the rubbing alcohol they have here is just not good. So it was just, my wrists have been hurting lately, although I did want to mention, I don't want to jinx it, but I was going on the pole quite a bit last night, and I'm so thankful, I'm so amazed. I can't believe my wrists feel okay right now. Because last week, my left wrist was pretty bad, and I had to stay off the pole for quite a few shifts in a row. But, yeah, I don't know, it's just, let me just take a quick peek here at my notes. Oh, so I was saying, okay. So yeah, because I try to limit my expenses back at my apartment as much as I can, I try not to worry about it too much, but I can't help but think about like, going into the future. The rent at my apartment seems to be quite a bit lower than the average price range, just like in the area where I'm from, but also from what I've heard just about other parts of the country in the US, as well. So I worry about possibly having to like live out of my car in the future. I don't think that's a bad thing if that's what somebody wants to do. Maybe some people do actually want to do that. Like I've seen a lot of like van lifers here on YouTube that like to drive, like to travel. But so if it's one thing if somebody consciously makes the choice to have that kind of lifestyle because they want to, but I don't want to have that kind of lifestyle, you know, if I can help it. And I'm going to try my best to help it and prevent that from happening. Just for myself, that's just not what I would want, you know. And I do think it would be kind of, you know, not great for somebody that to be in that kind of lifestyle when they don't want to be. But I just think to myself, you know, it really frustrates me with my YouTube, like having so many issues with my streams and my streams being cut short, because I know that other people have mentioned like, oh, you should do shorter videos because people can't pay attention to anything these days. But again, that's not my preference. And if it were up to me, I would just want to do long streams, like hours and hours and hours. I feel like I have a lot to talk about. Not always, but a lot of times I feel like more often than not, and especially once I get going, like in the groove, like in that flow, which I feel like I have been a lot lately. Yeah, it really sucks to have my videos cut short, or obviously muted is much worse. I love to do long videos. I love to talk and talk and talk. That's just my preference, and I'm gonna go based off of my preference right now. So, and possibly for probably for as long as I can. Like I'm gonna prioritize my own preferences over other people's when I have that option. So yeah, but especially if I were to ever be living out of my car in the future, dude, holy crap, I would never want to be off YouTube. I would, if I were able to, I would want to be streaming like 24/7, probably. Like obviously, like with that kind of lifestyle, I'm sure a lot of the time would be spent just struggling to take care of basic needs as best as possible. But I would imagine that there would probably in between that be a lot of like kind of just boring spare time if you're not really working odd jobs like as best you can different places, or I'm not really too sure how that would go, probably differently for different people and situations. But I'm pretty sure for me, you know, if it were possible, I would just want to be live streaming or making videos for my YouTube like pretty much nonstop. Yeah, like, and I would probably spend the majority of my time just talking and talking and talking and complaining and complaining and complaining, but also, yeah, just trying my best to talk my way out of that situation, you know? Just trying to, yeah, basically just keep putting myself out there, keep, you know, trying to, what's the word people use? Manifest, you know, more better things, you know, like if anybody's out there, please help. I'm not monetized on my channel now, and I really don't intend to be anytime soon. I would prefer to not have to do that. Just because that's my preference. I prefer, you know, right now just to not have to deal with the ads and all of that, the complications that probably come with that kind of stuff. So, but I will say that if I were to ever be living out of my car in the future, you will see me on here begging for money. You will absolutely. I would absolutely completely flip that, do a 180, and every single video I would literally be on here begging, because, you know, let's be honest, like the internet was not always around, and it's like if we do have this tool at our disposal now, you know, nowadays, it's right here, why not use it? Like if, you know, hello, is anybody out there? Please help me! Basically kind of thing. You know, but yeah, right now it's like I'm still just kind of trying to have fun and complain, you know, just talk, like, I don't know, casually kind of, but I don't know, just, we'll see how it goes later on, you know, for me with stuff, but anyway. Yeah, and I didn't want, well, I didn't, the previous, not last night, but the night before, I did watch back the video back at my apartment on my laptop. I did watch the video that I had done earlier that day, But that video was also like pretty much, yeah, 2 hours long. So I got less sleep going into work yesterday. And yeah, yesterday's shift and last night was pretty busy for me, and I felt like I was really like exerting myself and spending a lot of energy throughout that shift. But I was going on only 4 hours of sleep. So another part of why I didn't watch my video back. I mean, I didn't watch my video back here at the club last night because again, it felt too busy. I was just too busy doing other stuff. But then I also didn't really make a point to watch that video back at my apartment because I wanted to try to get a little more sleep. And that video was also close to 2 hours long, or it was originally over 2 hours, but then it got cut short to just under 2 hours, but still on the longer side. So yeah, right now I'm going, I think, on about 7 hours of sleep, but I am still very tired. Oh boy. Okay, so I think now I'm ready to get into what I was about to get into at the start of this video about that DJ guy. It's actually interesting timing because the car that just pulled in, oh my gosh, okay, so wow. The car that, that's so weird. Holy crap. Nothing is real, you guys. So the car that just pulled in looks like the car that I remember that guy having. But the guy that just got out of it is like this old guy with like white hair. So obviously not him. The guy that just got out of that car is like probably in his 80s, I would guess, or looks to be like old, like a senior citizen. But that car looks, yeah, very similar to this DJ guy. Not only that, that car is parked in the same spot as the car that I saw here yesterday. So it was kind of like reversed. Yesterday, there was a car that parked in that spot or very close to it. I think possibly in that same exact spot. So yesterday the car looked different, but the guy that got out of it looked a lot like the DJ guy that I'm referring to. So yeah, towards the end of my video from yesterday, the part that got cut out was where I was just pretty much talking about that guy. So yeah, we used to work together off and on for a lot of years, for many, many, many years here at the club. He was very mean to me overall most of the time, really did not seem to like me at all, but probably most of my best dancing and my best times on stage here at this club were when I was working with him. So yes, he was mean to me, but he was also an excellent DJ, to the point where I just still love to work with him. So yeah, we worked together off and on throughout the years, many, many years, up until January of, I was saying in my video yesterday, I think I remember the exact day that it happened, up until January 18th of 2023. And when he had come and gone all the years prior to that, I think that was of his own choice. Whereas when he stopped working here for good, I'm pretty sure that like he really stopped working here like permanently for good at that time, back in 2023. I think that time was because he got fired. And I think it seemed like there was a lot of like issues like going on at that time. Like he was having issues with his car. So the car that just pulled in now, I don't know if he still drives the same car as back then, but the car that pulled in now looks like what I remember his car looking like from back then. And, you know, like, I think he was having to Uber, which at that time, his apartment, he was, I think, about 30 minutes from the club. So he was having to like Uber to and from the club because of the issues he was having with his car, which, you know, that can be an expense. And the club was definitely a lot slower. You know, the shifts that he was doing, there weren't always a lot of dancers on to tip him and stuff. And throughout the years, like mostly pre-COVID, I had been tipping him a lot, you know, like pretty much everything that I was making here at the club at the time. But then post-COVID, everything just changed so much, like just the economy and the amount of customers that came in, and you know, like the spending from the customers, to where pretty much ever since then I haven't really been able to make money here. And my desire to try to do so has just gone down so much, because like the customers that do come in, usually like it just doesn't work out most of the time. Like usually it's other dancers that get to them first, or they just don't seem to like me, or they, you know, they a lot of times will like kind of rub me the wrong way, figuratively, or you know, they'll try to do that literally if they can sometimes, which I'll try to get away from and steer clear of. You know, like a lot of guys will creep me out. And so I will try to avoid them as best I can when that's the case. So, but mostly just how slow it is now, you know, ever since, you know, yeah, 2020 and all that. So when I realized that this DJ guy was having issues with his car like that, I was offering to give him rides, you know, because I felt bad about no longer really being able to tip him like I had been, you know, previously. And he would always, like I said, he did not like me. He was usually very, like, would just give me the brush off. So when I would offer to do that, he would pretty much just, you know, say no, and in a kind of rude way, like he was offended that I would offer, kind of, almost. But so yeah, after he got fired, I was very upset. And I had remembered some time before that happened, he had left one of his paychecks in the DJ booth, like right out in the open. So, and when I say out in the open, I mean literally like right there where anybody could see it. So the way that the DJ booth is here at this club, it's like a big open window, and then on one side there's like a big whiteboard where they'll write down the names of other, like the dancers that are going to go on stage. And so dancers are constantly going over there to check that whiteboard to see when their turn is going to be. It's a very like popular like spot for people to be. And then on the other side of that, of this like open window area, there's a bench that opens up and people can like stash stuff in there, like, I don't know, hoodies and laptops and gear and stuff like that. But on top of that bench, so it's just right there, like, you know, he had left this paycheck. And not only that, but his name and his address was right there on top. It's not like I had to like look for it. It was like looking at me basically. And I couldn't help but to just look back because it was right there. So, so I had seen his address basically because of that. Why he would have left that there for anybody to see, I don't know. I don't understand. Maybe he did it on accident. I don't know. But so because I was pretty sure that I knew his address from that paper that he left there, after he got fired, I did drive to his apartment. And a 30-minute drive for most people probably wouldn't be considered that long of a drive. For me, however, I would consider that to be, that's very out of character for me. I would consider that to be a long drive for myself. I hate to drive. I really try to limit my driving as much as I can. I really only go to like the bare minimum, the essential places I absolutely have to go. Like, you know, my apartment, obviously, here at the club, the bank, the grocery store, the post office, sometimes Walmart. For me, going to Walmart is like a rare adventure treat kind of thing. And not so much lately and with the winter time, but other times of the year, I'll try to go to the gym when I can. But other than that, I don't drive anywhere. And yeah, I hate to drive. So, but when that happened, like I said, we had worked many years. So I was very upset to hear that he had been fired, and I didn't really know the full story, obviously. Just I was going off of what I had heard, like bits and pieces from other people. So I wanted to talk to him and get his side of the story and find out what happened, and just try to let him know that I was like trying to be there for him and stuff like that. So when I drove to his apartment like that, it was at night. So yeah, again, I hate to drive, but I especially hate to drive at night when it's dark out. I think I drove there the very next night after this had happened. So, and he was scheduled to work that night. So I normally would have worked here at the club that night, and so would he have done, normally would have done that. But I think what I did, I got here and then I just like couldn't do it, and I just got on the highway and drove to his apartment instead that following night. And part of the reason I did that was because I wanted to try to show him like that I really would have been willing to give him rides. Like, you know what I mean? If I was willing to drive there just kind of on a whim or just to try to talk to him, like obviously I would have, like I had been trying to tell him before, I would have been willing to give him rides if he needed them from time to time. But yeah, that didn't go very well. Like I said, he's always just really seemed to dislike me a lot. So when I got there, it took me a while to try to figure out, like, it was one of those kind of like areas where there's different apartment units that kind of spread out. So it took me a while to try to figure out which one he would have been in. And at first I ran into some of his neighbors outside, and we were talking for a few minutes, and then eventually this DJ guy, oh, it's 3:30 on the dot. This DJ guy would smoke cigarettes a lot. So eventually, a few minutes into me talking with the neighbor, the DJ guy came out onto the balcony of his apartment smoking a cigarette. And shortly after he was doing that, he noticed me down there outside talking to his neighbor. And when he noticed me there, he started freaking out. He was very, very, like, clearly upset. And he actually threatened to call the cops. So yeah, I was trying, I was trying to just approach the situation in a calm manner and like, just see if he would talk to me like in a calm, like normal way, like adults. But he was like just really upset and he wouldn't have it. He was just like, you need to leave now, like get out of here. So, and once he threatened to call the cops, I was like, fine, all right, like I don't want to go there. Like I don't like drama. I don't like, legal serious stuff like that, obviously, like who does? So I left, and that was wasted gas and wasted time. And honestly, yeah, I did know driving down there that it was probably gonna, quite likely be, I didn't think that he was gonna threaten to call the cops, but I knew that it was probably gonna be a struggle to try to get him to be able to talk, like willing to talk to me. But ever since then, we've never talked, and it does suck because every now and then I will see him here at the club, just as like a customer coming in, and he's never said hi to me, when he's been here since that happened. He talks to other dancers, he talks to some of the employees and that kind of thing. I haven't tried to talk to him either since that happened. Obviously, yeah, that was like over 3 years ago now. But like, so a part of me wants to, maybe like when I see him here now, a part of me kind of wants to say hi just to see how that might go. But based on how that time before went, like I just don't want to upset him, and so I feel bad. I feel very like anxious and on edge, when he's here. Usually when I notice that he's here, I'll try not to go on the pole, which normally otherwise I try to go on the pole pretty much as I can. But so yeah, he was here at the club last night, and I'm pretty sure he was here at the club also the night before. So it's rare for me to see him here 2 nights in a row. But because I did see him here last night and the night before, 2 nights in a row like that, and because I've been having so many issues with my streams, like my videos, and just on my phone in general lately, there's a part of me that's like, what if it's him? Like, what if he's the one, like, messing with my phone? Um, and it's not like that would be super far-fetched though, like me just being paranoid, because he was one of those kind of like computer guys. He would bring his laptop into the club a lot. He actually talked about how he was like in a coding class, like he knew like a lot of stuff about computer code, and he just seemed like a pretty smart guy when it came to stuff like that. I had actually asked him at one point about him possibly showing me, like trying to teach me how to make like YouTube videos, where I don't see them as much anymore, but I used to see them a lot years ago on YouTube, where people would take like short little clips, like the visual clips from movies and like television shows, stuff like that. And they would make kind of like a montage of a mix of different clips with audio overlapped, like kind of over it, like with a particular song or two. And kind of like a fandom thing, like just fan art, fan videos for just with, yeah, movie clips, TV clips mixed with different songs and stuff. And I just love stuff like that. I love, love, love it. So I had asked him to teach me how to do that kind of thing. And again, he just didn't like me. So we never got around to that. But he did. Part of the reason I had been asking him about that is because he did seem like he really knew a lot about computers and like computer coding and stuff like that. So just me thinking about, yeah, well, because up until the past couple days, typically I don't see him here at the club a lot. I've seen him occasionally from time to time, since he stopped working here back in 2023. But usually that's pretty rare. Especially 2 nights in a row like that. And it just so happens this is right around the same time that I'm having all these issues with my phone, and I know that he's really seemed to always dislike me a lot. So I don't know, it's making me really anxious. And then also, we used to have kind of an issue with him, and this other DJ that used to work here would put on this smoke stuff here at the club a lot of times that I'm very allergic to. So part of me tipping them, as much as I used to tip them back when I was actually able to do so, part of that was because they were really good DJs. And then part of it was because they were kind of abusing that situation with the smoke stuff and me being allergic to it. So that was no good. But so when I saw him here last night, usually the shifts that I work are the slower shifts where that smoke stuff isn't used as much. But when I saw him here last night, the smoke was being used. I honestly can't remember if it was like, I think it was after he already left. But that had also happened the previous night on Monday night as well. So again, normally for a while now, I've been doing Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And there's a lot of weeks where I don't see the smoke being used here those nights at all, which is like great, because I'm very allergic to it. It makes me very sick. But so yeah, it's also weird that I would see it being used Monday night when I saw him here, and then last night on Tuesday when I saw him here that second night in a row. It's like both nights I'm having all these issues with my phone. Both nights I see him here, both nights the smoker being used, when normally those nights I don't see it being used. So it's almost like seeing him here, it's like a foreshadowing, like, of, like the smoke to come, like I'm stuffed up right now. If you can't, like, you can probably hear me like sniffing and like kind of just like can't breathe very well. Just killing me slowly here. Like they're killing me slowly here at this club for sure. But what can you do? What can I do? Isn't that sexy? As if I'm not already sexy enough. Like, wouldn't anybody just be so, like, thrilled to get a lap dance with somebody that, like... It's great. They have different versions of the smoke stuff that they use here, and I'm allergic to all of it. It all makes me very sick, but there's some kinds in particular where my nose will actually start dripping, like in the middle of me being here at the club, like trying to talk to a guy here. And, you know, my allergy is bad enough to the point where I'll be like mid-conversation and my nose will just start dripping. And so that's, yeah, sexy. And other times I just like can't stop sneezing, or I'll get a nosebleed. I pretty much always get a headache from it. Oh, but so I was saying earlier that I am kind of amazed that, like, my wrist had been hurting a lot pretty recently, and I have been going back on the pole this week. So I stayed off the pole this Sunday, but then last night and the night before on Monday, I was going on the pole, you know, quite a bit. Not a little amount. Like, I was really just trying to get back into like my normal amount of just going on the pole, like a lot pretty much. And I'm just amazed that my wrist feels okay. So now I'm kind of like, all right, well, let me just try to tell myself that maybe that smoke stuff is actually like aerated Advil, or like crushed up painkillers, like made into like a aerated substance that just goes into the air and relieves pain. Like, yeah, it might be stuffed up, but it's like the club is vaping, but it's vaping like Advil or Tylenol or something. And then also, because let me just check the timestamp. 52 minutes. Because I've been attempting to like go on a diet this month. Honestly, I can't say that I've been very successful with that, but you know, I've been trying, I think, kind of, yeah, sort of, I don't know. But so what I'm also trying to tell myself is that the smoke stuff here is like a GLP-1, like that they're putting into the air. And I've actually thought that for a while. And like, I remember months ago, they have like these big jugs, these big bottles of the liquid that they use to fill the machines for that stuff. And the bottles, some of them, again, there's different brands, there's different versions. Some of the bottles and some of the brands have like a clear bottle, to where I've thought to try to like take a black Sharpie marker and actually label the outside of the bottle like GLP-1, just to really like get that mindset like really cemented within myself. Because that's just the way you gotta try to think sometimes, you know, like that's a survivor kind of mindset. Like, you tell yourself whatever you can, and that's what I'm telling myself right now. So yeah, it's like this nice mix of GLP-1 and like Advil, or maybe something even better than Advil, like more exciting. Not that I condone like stuff like, usually it's Excedrin for me if I have a headache that's like won't go away. So luckily, the headache that I had yesterday and the headaches that I've had from this stuff lately, like, and I didn't even have water last night. I was gonna try to, but I never even got around to drinking my water. So somehow my headaches lately have been kind of just like naturally like going away eventually. But anyways, which is good, I guess. But oh, but also I do think it's weird that the smoke has been used the past couple nights, because the DJ that I've been working with lately is a female DJ, and we had talked about the smoke one time, and I remember her telling me that she doesn't like it, and that usually if somebody else puts it on, she'll shut it off because, again, she doesn't like it. So the night before, on Monday, when it went on, My favorite manager was here that night, and he wasn't here last night though, but he was here the night before. And so he's usually the one that I've noticed putting it on occasionally on the slower nights that I do, you know, the nights that he's here. And I asked him to turn it down on Monday night. And when I asked him to do that, normally he'll just be like, oh yeah, okay. But then that night he mentioned that he actually hadn't been the one to put it on that night. So I was like, well, that's weird, because normally he would be the one to do it on the nights that, like the slower nights like that. But he was like, oh, well, the DJ must have done it. And I was like, well, that's weird, because I never thought that she like wanted to put it on since she said she didn't like it herself. But so yeah, he was not, he was here on Monday night when that happened, obviously, but then last night he wasn't here. So at first I was like kind of questioning if he was being honest when he said that on Monday. But then since he wasn't here last night and it was on again, I was like, well, maybe I guess it must be the female DJ doing that. But then also with that DJ guy being here both of those nights, I was like, well, maybe is he like telling her to do that to mess with me, or are they like in cahoots, or is he trying to like tell her like, hey, you know, a great way that I used to get money out of this silly little biatch back in the day? And she's like, oh, okay. But it's like, you know, again, back when I used to be tipping him, I was doing that because I was able to do it, you know, before the economy was completely destroyed by COVID. Why don't they just call it covert? Because it's basically the same word, but okay, yeah. But like nowadays, it's like, dude, like I'm not making money at all anymore. So even if I wanted to tip them more, like back like I used to, I'm just not able to do it at this point. And I haven't been for a while. And it's like, you would think with them looking around the room at how slow it is, like they would be able to see that. Like we have an automated DJ, even the slower nights, like even when we have, so like right now, for instance, for example, like day shifts or earlier on, we'll have the automated DJ. So it's just a computer rather than a person DJ the slower times. But even later into the night for the night shift with that female DJ, she'll be here for like, she gets here around 10 o'clock, usually it seems lately. But even when she's here later into the night, she will, when she wants to take a break, she'll put it back to the AI DJ, you know? So, you know, it's not like, I don't know. Well, back when I was working with that guy DJ and another guy DJ that used to like, I used to kind of have that weird situation going on with, back then, that was before we had the AI DJ. So back then, it's like we needed those guys to be there working. Whereas now, yeah, it's nice to have the human version, you know, like the busier times and like for the night shift. And I really like her otherwise without this issue, but, or like without me feeling all conflicted and confused as to what's going on with that. But like now, again, we do have at least the option for the AI DJ stuff. So it's just different. But it's also just like really weird still and very confusing to me and just, but so last night I was called on stage while the smoke was being used. I think this was after that DJ guy had left, thankfully. I'm a person that really struggles with confrontation and stuff like that, but there was a floor host near the stage right as I was about to go on. So I just kind of asked him, I was like, can you maybe ask the DJ to turn down that smoke while I go on stage? You know, just because I'm allergic to it and I don't want to start like dripping at the nose and sneezing and stuff. So that was my first time asking somebody other than my favorite manager to turn that stuff down. And so I didn't know how that was going to go. But they did. So I was really like holding my breath, like literally, figuratively and literally. with that, and, doubtful as to, if that was gonna go okay. But they did, so that was awesome. And I was able to stay the rest of the night, and I feel mostly okay. I don't have a headache today. I'm just kind of, like obviously stuffed up and stuff. But I was really proud of myself when the DJ was still here earlier on in the shift yesterday. When I first noticed him here, I had been feeling very sick, actually. And I don't know if that was partly because of the smoke being used the previous night or if I was just tired. I really wasn't too sure why I was feeling as bad as I was, but I was like kind of just like sitting back in a chair, which normally I never sit down out in the main area of the club. Usually if I do sit down at the club, it's upstairs in the VIP lounge. But I think it was just like colder up there at that time, or actually at that time there were not many other dancers on rotation, so I knew that because there were so little dancers there at that time, I was going to be called back on stage very quickly. So rather than going up the stairs and having to go back down, I was so tired. I was just sitting in a chair, on the main floor area closer to the stage, and on the same floor of the club. So right before he got there, I was feeling tired and almost kind of like sick, to where I felt like maybe I was coming down with something like kind of like a cold or a flu kind of feeling. Like I was kind of abnormally warm, like feeling flushed. And then shortly after being on stage and stuff, and then shortly after, and at first I was not going on the pole. Like I was just really feeling bad. And so eventually I did start to go on the pole a lot after I saw the DJ guy there and after the smoke was on, and I just like needed to prove to myself that I was able to push through all that. But earlier on in the shift, yeah, I was just feeling so sick and weird that I was trying to take it easy and not going on the pole. But even though I hadn't been going on the pole yet at that point, I was still feeling flushed and kind of just like weirdly warm after being on stage, like not even going on the pole at that time. And then like sitting there for a few minutes, it was like fading into where I was starting to get like that chilly kind of feeling. So I was feeling very weird, and it was getting to the point where I was contemplating taking two of the chairs and putting them together so I could like kind of lay down on them. I was questioning if I was even going to be able to like go back on stage when my name was called. And right at that time, I see that DJ guy come through the front door, and I was like, oh, all right. Like I kind of just snapped to it, and I was like, biatch, pull yourself together, So after that, shortly after I noticed him get here, I was called back on stage. I went up there. I didn't think I was going to be going on the pole at that time because, yeah, I mean, like I just said, I was feeling pretty sick. And then also, like normally when that DJ guy is here, I will try to steer clear of the pole because I get very anxious when I see him. But I don't know. I was like, maybe I can try to push through that today. Since I had already seen him here at the club the previous day, I was like, well, I don't want that to keep happening every time that I see him here. If he's going to start coming in more like lately or whatever, I was like, I need to still be able to go on the pole even if he's here. At least some of the time, obviously not all of the time, but maybe I'm just like getting more used to it again now, or I don't know. But so there were 3 people near the stage. So they were not actually at the stage. They were just like sitting further out, like somewhat near the stage, but not actually at the stage yet. So I was like, let's just try this out. So I tried to get their attention and call over to them. And I was like using my Russian accent that I do sometimes to try to like get my voice louder to try to talk to people, like over the music. So I did that, and I was like, oh, you guys to come to stage or something like that, you come, I do, like, for a pole trick. You want to see the pole trick? You come, I do. So, stuff like that. I do it better, like, actually, here at the club, I want to think, on stage. But so sometimes that works, a lot of times it doesn't. But that time it did work, and those guys, those 3 people did come up to the stage. I think it was actually 3 females. One of them I thought was a guy at first, and then I think actually they might have been, then I noticed like chesticles later on. I was like, maybe it, anyways. So, but regardless, because that person that I thought was a guy at first, they went over to the bar, and I said to the 2 ladies, I was like, oh, like, where'd that guy at the bar go? Are they gonna, like, I referred to them as a guy, like to the other 2 people. I was like, where'd the guy at the bar go? Are they getting dollar bills for the stage? And they kind of looked at me funny for a minute. And then as that person was coming back to the stage is when I noticed the chesticles. So I was like, oh crap. But they still seemed okay. Like, they didn't seem like to be like angry about it. So they stayed at the stage and, you know, like tipped me some dollars. But so yeah, that DJ guy was, you know, still in the club at this time. He had just gotten there. He was over by the bar, like not really like paying attention to me, I don't think. He was like talking to somebody else like he normally would. So I did go on the pole, but yeah, I mean, originally I didn't think that I was going to be bothering to try to do that. I was not feeling up to it. And I don't think I like had the time or the energy or whatever to clean off the pole first like I normally would. So the pole was especially slippery. And the shift before that on Monday, my wigs have been very loose on my head lately, to where I've been very about them possibly falling off when I go upside down in the pole. So on Monday, I had wrapped this thing around my head, like this little headband thing that's like flesh colored, to try to hold my wigs onto my head better. And it did seem to work. However, on Monday, it was really freaking me out because I could feel that headband thing wrapped around my head was basically the only thing keeping my wigs on my head at certain points when I went upside down. So that was a really scary feeling. And to where I just knew at those times, in those moments, that if I had not put that headband on, my wigs definitely would have fallen off at those points. So that was Monday, but yesterday I did not put that thing on my head. So when I went on the pole when that DJ guy was here, after I had called those 3 people up to the stage, I was feeling sick. I had not cleaned off the pole first, and I was not wearing the headband to hold the wigs onto my head better. So I could feel my wigs very loose. You know, I could feel how slippery the pole was. I could feel how weird I was feeling, like otherwise as well. And I still went upside down, and I didn't fall off. I was so proud of and my wigs didn't fall off either, which is really also a big thing. I could feel them, you know, coming close to it, but they didn't. And after I got back down to the floor of the stage safely, thank gosh, I also like kept dancing, like going for it, you know, like dancing the way that I normally would try to, like pretty quickly around the stage and doing like quick steps, you know, and stuff. I could feel that I was pretty shaky, and at that time I was kind of starting to feel the effects of my dieting attempts. just not feeling great, you know, but I did feel really good about the fact that I had been able to push myself to still go on the pole with all of those different factors going on and those, you know, circumstances going on in that situation at that time. And yeah, so, and also then when I got off the pole or off the stage after that, shortly after, there was this other guy that came into the club around that time. And this guy I hadn't seen in a while, but he is a talker. He's from Los Angeles, is what he says. And he's kind of a bigger guy. He has a very big personality to go with that. And every time we talk, like, he's somebody that I actually really enjoy talking to there because he's a good conversationalist and he just doesn't seem to run out of things to say. So, he's just fun to talk to. So after I got off the stage, a part of me wanted to like go sit down and like write all this down for my notes, which I did do later on. But first I went over to that guy that's a big talker, And I just stood there and talked to him like for a long time, because again, once we start to get talking, like he talks a lot, I can talk a lot with somebody like him especially. So I ended up just talking with him all the way until my next round on stage, which was probably like a good 20-30 minutes. I was just standing there at his table and we were just talking that entire time. And as that conversation was going on, that DJ guy was like coming in and out of the club through the front door. I'm assuming because he was probably going outside to smoke, because he's always been a big smoker. So I have to go sign in real quick. It's almost 4. So, gosh, my cheeks are flushed right now. 1, 2, 3. All right. Watch, I'm gonna come back and be like, oh my gosh, it's 4 o'clock on the dot. Like I'm all surprised about it. God, you're back. Oh, now it's 4 o'clock. Okay. I was like, actually, it's 3:59 still. Oh, I forgot to pat my purple thing. Normally I pat my purple thing when I get, oh my God, my shoulder still hurts. I thought my shoulder was feeling better. My wrists feel better, but my shoulder is still kind of weird. Timestamp. All right, that sounds about right. So yeah, I was really glad that that guy that's a big talker and a good conversationalist, I was really glad to see him there, you know, like around that same time, because it was just a nice distraction for me to feel a little less, like to give myself something to do, like, and to just feel a little less anxious about that DJ guy, like being there at that time and stuff. So yeah, we talked for a while. I hadn't seen him for a while up until that point. So it was nice to catch up with him. And yeah. So yeah, I mean, I just signed in obviously, and it looks like there's a lot of dancers here already. So it's still pretty early. I'm exhausted. I'm definitely going to try to take it easy tonight. Which that's what I was telling myself coming in yesterday, and I did not take it easy. Last night, like I was telling myself I was going to do. So at first I was taking it easy up until I saw that DJ guy. And then after seeing that DJ guy, I pushed myself to still go on the pole just to show myself I could do it while he was there, or here, there, you know, at the club. And then shortly after the DJ guy left, I think that's when I noticed the smoke come on. So at that time, I also pushed myself to go back on the pole and do pole tricks just to show myself that I could still do it and push through like that smoke stuff situation. And then, I don't know, I kind of just carried that on from that point where I was like still really pushing myself to like keep trying to go on the pole throughout the remainder of the night and that shift and stuff. And you know, I didn't feel great, but I didn't feel too terrible. My headache eventually went away. When the smoke stuff first came on, at first my headache got much worse, like instantly. But then it was weird because, yeah, after I asked them to turn it down and they did, eventually later on in the night, my headache did go away, which was nice. Right now, though, I'm feeling not good. But anyway, I'm gonna check my notes here. They're so all over the place, you guys. Like, just trying to follow my own notes is like, I wonder if shutting, I don't want to say it out loud. I don't want to jinx it, but now I'm wondering, like, I wonder if shutting my car off has anything to do possibly with my videos being cut short. Because obviously, yeah, I shut my car off closer to the end of my videos. So I already checked the timestamp. It was like 75 minutes probably right now. 70, about to be 76 minutes. So I'll try to make a mental note of that. I probably got most of what I have written down. I'm pretty sure I did. Yeah, some of this stuff I'm actually gonna save for the next time. Cause I'm feeling pretty tired and not great. I don't know why my cheeks are so red right now. I really hope I'm not coming down with something, you guys. I got a bag of oranges on Monday. I think there were 12 oranges in the bag. Mandarin oranges, not big ones. Like the cute little ones. So between Monday and yesterday, I finished that bag, and earlier today, before I started this video, before I got to the club, I got another bag of oranges. Yay! Honestly, because I'm gonna try to take it easier tonight, and because it seems like, oh gosh. And because it seems like there's a lot of dancers here. I probably will try to have, and because I feel weird, I'll probably be trying to have those oranges like here at the club throughout the shift. I also got vegetables, and then I also got chocolate, and the price, the total came to exactly $11. I kid you not. On the dot. You're not gonna be able to see it, but I want to try to show it anyways. Well, okay, so it's kind of funny because things read backwards on the lives, but with 11, I don't have to worry about it reading backwards if it does show. Where does it say? $11, and I paid $12 because here at this club they have $2 bills. So I paid with a $10 bill and one $2 bill, and I got $1 back. Isn't that cool? On the dot. That's a sign maybe, but for what? But for what exactly? So okay, so the last thing I'm going to mention in this video, yesterday was my dancer friend Paris's birthday. For anybody that doesn't know, Paris is one of my very favorite people in this entire world, and she's been in one of the videos before. I did do a video with her here at the club quite a while back. That was actually around the time of my birthday, so that would have been back probably like October or November, late October, early November. Her and I did a video, yeah, here in one of the dressing rooms at the club. And so yesterday was her birthday, and she was not here at the club yesterday, which honestly I was kind of happy about because I didn't know what to do for her birthday. Like I just never know what to do for stuff like that. Like I never want to spend money on stuff, and then but even besides that, I just never know what to do. I'm like, I don't really know how to bake a cake. Like my oven at my apartment doesn't really work, and I try not to use the electricity there anyways. We have an oven here at the club, but I'm trying to picture myself trying to like bake a cake here at the club, and that didn't seem very like feasible. And I was like, well, I just didn't know what to do. So, but she wasn't here last night, so I was like, okay, well that takes a little pressure off of me to like try to come up with something like last minute. Oh, you know what? That DJ guy that I was referring to, I remember for one of his birthdays, I brought in balloons. And oh my gosh, it was pathetic though. It was extra pathetic. Obviously that was pathetic on its own, but then it was extra pathetic because some of them had like deflated before he got to the club somehow. Like I don't remember how exactly, and yeah. I got him like a card with like, you know what? I got him actually, I got him gifts like a lot of times throughout the years, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I was already tipping him a lot anyways, but then, and he was so mean to me. Anyway, so with Paris's birthday yesterday, because she wasn't at the club, again, a little bit of the pressure was off, like because I didn't really know what I was going to try to do for that, but I did text her, and I was just really like at least happy with the fact that I was able to remember to text her for that, because yeah, last night was pretty busy and I was feeling pretty crappy, and I'm pretty ADHD and scatterbrained regardless. Like it's very difficult for me to remember stuff. So I was, glad that I was at least able to remember that in time and text her and stuff. And because yeah, I usually forget stuff all the time. And onto that subject, I was saying, okay, so not in my video yesterday, I don't think, because the video from yesterday, I have not watched back yet. So I think this would have been the video from Monday, which I did watch back. So, oh yeah, I think that was right. I think that's right, because this Sunday, there's a guy that comes into the club on Sundays. I think he said he comes in like every Sunday. And that seems to match up with, I'm pretty sure I see him here like every Sunday that I'm here, which I've been doing Sundays for a while. He's usually at the end of the bar, and sometimes we kind of just like casually talk. But he seems like the kind of guy that knows a lot of stuff, like very smart, and especially about stuff like computers. So because I've been having so many issues with my phone lately, I was trying to tell myself to ask him about some of that, like maybe if he had any input on the stuff going on with my phone. So I was telling myself from last week to try to ask him about that this Sunday. And I mentioned that in my video, I think on Monday, because I had actually forgotten to ask him this week on Sunday. Like I had been intending to try to ask him. It just slipped my mind again. And I was starting to mention that in my video on Monday, like, oh, like I was talking about him and how he's like, a computer guy. And I was like, oh, I'm so mad at myself because I wanted to ask him, but I actually forgot to say the actual part about me forgetting to ask him. I was talking about him being a computer guy. I was talking about him being here on Sundays. I was talking about the issues with my phone. And then I was mentioning that I was like mad at myself, but I didn't actually get around to saying why I was mad at myself. I forgot to say that part. I forgot to say that basically not only did I forget to ask him about that stuff on Sunday, I also forgot to include that part, to say that part about me forgetting to ask him in my video about it. Basically, I forget things a lot, okay? And so yeah, I was really at least glad that I remembered to wish Paris a happy birthday. Because yeah, I just love her so much. And anyway, So, oh wow, I really don't want to go into the club right now. I'm really, really tired. I want to have my oranges. Yes. Oh, I love oranges. Oh, and maybe I will be able to, since I'm going to try to take it easier tonight, maybe I'll be able to try to watch back my video from yesterday, and maybe even this one, assuming that this one actually goes okay. Ooh. You know, I'm gonna probably pretty much have to start making, like, I already obviously have a lot of notes for my videos, but I feel like at this point, I should probably start trying to keep notes about, like, when, like, what days of the week, like, when I have issues with my videos, like, when is it an issue with the audio and when is it an issue with the length, like the timestamp being cut short? And what day of the week does this fall on? And what are the other details surrounding that? Like, what part of the parking lot am I streaming from? Like, what part in the club am I charging my phone afterwards? What's the timestamp when I shut my car off to go sign in at the club? Like, I'm gonna really have to start keeping detailed notes about this stuff too, because yeah, so far there doesn't really seem to be much rhyme or reason to it. I just can't really seem to try to figure it out. Like pretty much everything else. Like, just can't, just doesn't make sense to me. But it's like, yeah, I gotta start trying to pay more attention to like the details with this, because it's just really frustrating, you know, to where I'm just like shocked and amazed these days, especially when I have a stream that actually fully like uploads properly, like the full length with audio. That's just like amazing and like shocking, and oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Like, you know, it's like going to check my videos back after I do them, I have this like sinking feeling of like dread. You know, it's just like I'm already that, like, I'm already having that feeling of being so disappointed and so let down, and just I'm sick of that feeling, honestly. I'm sick of that feeling. You know, to the point where I'm like, well, should I really keep trying to do this? Like, obviously, but I want to, because it's like, honestly, doing my YouTube is like my favorite thing lately, other than being on the stage sometimes. But like, I look forward to it so much, and it's just like, it's like pretty much one of my favorite things now. So, other than the issues, obviously, but with the issues, it's just that sinking, dreaded, just dreadful feeling of just gloom and doom and just dread and just, oh my gosh, you know. Oh. And it adds to that feeling of already being exhausted and already being so, you know, just kind of fighting against so many negative, intrusive thoughts and feelings, regardless, like besides this stuff, you know. But anyway, back to Paris, because she makes me smile and happy. I love you, Paris. Has too. And so many of the other dancers here at this club are just amazing, and I love them so much, and I would love to try to possibly interview other dancers here in the future. I keep telling myself that, but you know, easier said than done, because like with Paris and Taz, I know both of their last names, and I have their numbers in my phone. I text them occasionally, like, you know, like other dancers here, like it's more of just like a casual acquaintance kind of thing, where I just love them like in the general sense of like what I see of them and like what I have like seen of them and heard from them and stuff like that, but I don't actually like really know them that well, if at all. But you know, I just gotta try to like push through that shyness and that kind of stuff when it comes to that kind of stuff, and maybe just dare to ask them if they want to do a video sometime, or you know. But anyway, it's almost 4:20. I'm not going to be smoking. Oh my gosh, you guys, I only have just over 2 more months until I'm ready to start smoking weed again. Because I really don't see a point in going any longer than a year. So the end of April, the start of May 1st will be my full year of not smoking weed. And I'm a very like OCD numbers kind of person with stuff like that. So it's like, okay, a year is long enough. like a nice round number kind of thing. I really don't see a point in trying to go any longer than that. Like, that's fine, like, that's great. And I'm happy with that, or I will be. And yeah, that'll be it. That'll be enough for that for me. When I do go back to smoking, I'm gonna definitely try to like limit it, unlike how I had been smoking previously, like all those years before, where I was doing it pretty much every day, like all day long. Like, I don't want to go back to that. I definitely am going to try to avoid that happening. But, you know, like more like how it's probably intended to be, like just like a little treat, like occasional recreational kind of thing. I can't wait to listen to music and sing back at my apartment with that, especially with better weather where it's not going to be as freezing in there. Oh my gosh, for spring, you guys, for spring, it's going to be like not as freezing in my apartment, and I can just smoke a little weed from time to time and go on my YouTube with the playlist and just have my earbuds and just sing and sing and sing, smoke and sing. Oh, I'm so excited for that. Yeah. So oh, but what I was gonna I was like, wait, there was something else. Um, there was a guy here at the club last night and he had a vape. I mean, a lot of people here at the club vape like all the time, but this guy last night started to blow smoke rings. And when I saw the smoke rings, up until that point, I hadn't thought about smoke rings. I have obviously missed like almost every other aspect of smoking weed other than the expense, which is honestly the main reason I stopped smoking it for a year, is just because of how expensive it is. But so I had been thinking about like all the other aspects of why I miss smoking weed so much. Oh, it's 420. But I hadn't thought, one aspect of that I hadn't thought of yet was the smoke rings. And when I saw this guy blowing the smoke rings last night, it hit me and I was like, oh, because I used to be really good at that. I used to be able to blow many, many smoke rings in a row, like up to like 20 or more. I was good at blowing smoke rings, which is weird because I can't really whistle. I can whistle a little bit, obviously, like that, but I can't like whistle where you can like do a tune. It doesn't even, I don't even like to do it or like try to do it because it feels weird to my mouth. You know, like I have kind of a little mouth and stuff. So, I mean, yeah, I can get like that little bit of a pitch noise, but I can't like actually carry a tune or like whistle well. So, but I can blow smoke rings well, or I could before. Like, yeah, 20 or more, sometimes closer to like 30 rings in a row. So when I saw that last night, that guy doing that, I was like, oh my gosh, it's just, oh, I miss doing that, you know? Anyways, so I'm really looking forward to spring, obviously, like I would be anyways, but I'm especially looking forward to spring just with the whole like weed situation and my apartment not being as freezing, getting to like just chillax there a little bit, you know, just smoke and sing and smoke and sing and smoke and sing. Oh my gosh. So that's all for now, for today. I hope you guys are well, and thanks for bearing with me, and thanks for watching. Bye for now, guys. Okay, I gotta move the rubber band that I have on top of my screen. Oh gosh. Oh, that's the rubber band, sorry. Okay. So, for anybody that doesn't already know, I put a rubber band on the top of my screen to cover the view count because numbers stress me out. It also covers the timestamp, which is why I check that like from time to time, and it covers the sign off button. So anyways, I don't mind seeing the view count at the end because I'm done trying to say stuff. But I just get so distracted by stuff and by numbers, and people have a lot of times made comments like in the regular comment section about like, oh, why don't you put your live chat comments on? Right now there's two main reasons for that. One being that they seem to slow down my streams, or they have in the past when I've done that, when I've left the live comments on for my chats, for my streams, my live streams. And I already have so many issues with my live streams, like the timestamps and the audio, and my phone carrier / internet provider. My phone and my internet are bundled, and I have very limited data usage for each month. I try to keep my bills as low as I possibly can. So, you know, I don't have great stream quality, which I apologize for. My videos already tend to lag and get staticky as is, but I've noticed that those issues, and again, like I already have so many issues just besides with my streams with the audio and the timestamps and all this other stuff. So, and I've also noticed in the past with the live comments left on that can add to those kind of lagging staticky issues with the streams to kind of like make that worse. And the other reason, or main reason, is when I see the comments, I'm just the kind of person that gets so distracted by stuff. And in case you can't already tell, I tend to come into my videos with stuff that I already want to say anyways, like just topics and subjects and stuff that I want to try to talk about, like specifically. And my videos are already so long, or intended to be long, to where 96 minutes. They're already long to the point where, like, I don't want them to be any longer. You know what I mean? Like, if anything, I'm trying to get them to be shorter, which I can't even really seem to do yet. Like, it's something I'm really gonna have to try to work on. So yeah. If I were to leave the comments on, it would just be like all that additional distraction for me. And I'd probably want to like talk about all this other stuff on top of the stuff that I'm already trying to talk about besides. And since I'm already struggling with my videos being too long as is, like that would probably just make that even more difficult for me to try to condense stuff down. So in the future, I was saying like, yeah, maybe I will try to leave the comments on just as an experiment. Like maybe for the times where I don't have as many notes about stuff, like specific things that I already want to talk about. But honestly, that probably won't be for a while, because right now and for a while, I've had like pages upon pages upon pages of notes of stuff that I want to talk about. Even right now, today, I only have 2 pieces of paper. And I didn't even say all the stuff that I have on these 2 pieces of paper. Besides these 2 pieces, I have like a whole bunch of other papers folded together in my backpack that are like, those are supposed to be like the next rounds of stuff. And then after that, I have an envelope of a whole bunch of other papers towards the back of my backpack. So it's like, I have so many pages and pages upon pages of notes of stuff that I still haven't gotten around to talking about. And a lot of times more stuff keeps getting added on when I do a shift here at the club. Like that usually gives me more stuff that I want to try to talk about on top of all that. So most likely it will probably be a while for me to, you know, entertain more the possibility of putting on the live comments option for my streams. That kind of thing would be more of like one of those rare days or instances where I'm just especially like, I don't know, where I just for some reason don't feel up to like talking that much like besides, or if I just feel like for some reason like that day I don't have a lot to say for some reason. That could very well happen with how tired I tend to be, or like maybe, I don't know, if something weird's going on and I just, you know what I mean, like need a distraction, like need the distractions. That would be one thing. But for the most part lately, yeah, I just already have a lot of stuff that I want to try to say besides. So yeah, possibly for the future, it's something I could try out. But for now, and probably for a while going into the future, it's probably just going to be me rambling about my own weird stuff. But yeah, you know, stay tuned possibly, and who knows, maybe in the future that might be a thing at some point, maybe. But okay, so it's 99 minutes. Should we go for 100? First, let me try to do the math in my head if that sounds right, because I started this stream at 2:50. I think that sounds right. Let's hope. All right. Notes. I am so excited. Oranges. Oh my goodness. Case in point, okay, we got 100. Case in point about how OCD I am and how distracted by numbers I get. Also though, usually after I end a stream at a certain time spot or timestamp, after that, the YouTube video or stream will like process and like on its own, and with the processing, it usually ends up with a different timestamp than I end with anyways. So somebody's knocking on my car. Okay, come back. One of the floor guys just knocked on my window. So I don't know, maybe I should have just like had him come on, but that's weird. I didn't try to be rude. I was just like, wait 1 minute, and then he walked off. I was like, sorry. All right, I better go in there. Obviously I'm gonna go in there anyways, but all right. Well, it's gonna be 101 minutes. So bye for now, guys. Hope you're well. Till next time.